Hey guys, Foxdrop here and welcome to an honest review of the newly reworked Warwick. For those of you who are unfamiliar with my honest reviews, this is a series where I talk about stuff and mostly chat a lot of shit about it. So where should we start with Warwick? Well, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I am a firm believer in the importance of respecting and understanding where you've come from in order to appreciate where it is that you're going. So following the theme of this video, let's do a quick recap of the old Warwick. Mechanics required? None. Brain cells required? None. Happiness to see one on my team? None. Desire to kill myself when considering my combined life choices that led to the situation of me playing Warwick? Very high. Now most of you guys are probably quite familiar with the old Warwick. He's been out longer than Ricky Martin. He's one of the league's longest tenured champions. He's almost 8 years old, which is 55 in dog years if you're wondering. But out with the old and in with the new. At least that's what they say. But just how new is the new Warwick? Riot reworks champions all the time, and honestly, does much ever really change? Darius is still a bulky bruiser with a wicked true damage bonk. LeBlanc is still a slippery sorceress with insane mobility and burst, and Ryze is still a dreadfully designed champion that's more broken than an EU LCS player's English. If history is anything to go by, then we might not be seeing too much change after all. But having played him on the PBE, I can say that that's not really going to be the case this time, at least in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, if you're looking for the best way to wind down on League after a long day of performing nugget porn, then Warwick will still probably be the best choice for you. And if you're still reeling from the childhood pain inflicted by being the younger brother, having never been allowed to play as Ralph in Rampage World Tour, then Warwick is still a good remedy for that as well. But there are a few tweaks to how he plays that you'll need to be aware of if you're a Warwick main and looking to make the transition. And if you are a Warwick main, just a little tip for you here: if you click the little cog in the bottom right of the video player on YouTube, you'll be able to adjust and reduce the playback speed of this video to better match the speed that your brain operates. First things first, the blood hunting theme is now much more exaggerated. In the past, when an enemy was low on health, you sniff them out and run faster towards them. With the new Warwick, there's loads more interactions that alter depending on how healthy either you or your opponents are. For example, your passive gives you on-hit damage but also heals you when you're below half health, and heals you for 3 times as much when you're below 25% health. On top of that, Warwick gains a shit ton of attack speed when fighting low health enemies. Like a literal shit ton. Like day old chicken tikka masala amounts of shit. You know, the stuff you couldn't finish on the day, so you left for later. We're talking upwards of 10,000 gold worth of stats, which saying out loud makes me think that it can't be true, so I'm just hoping it's not. He also runs really fast towards wounded enemies too, so if that was your favourite part of Warwick's old kit, which, let's be real, how couldn't it be considering just how exhilarating such a mechanic is, you won't even be missing out on that. Second big difference between the old Warwick and the new Warwick, he actually has some CC now outside of his ultimate. Yes, that means you can no longer just brain AFK farm the jungle and simply say, well, I'm Warwick, what do you want me to do? He now has a 1-second AoE fear built into his kit, so your once slim window of usefulness, that time between hitting level 6 and when the enemy carrier started to acquire quicksilver sashes, is now even wider than the collective anuses of TSM players after last year's Worlds. Last difference to mention, Warwick now has a tendency to leap around places. Your new Q, which is pretty comparable to your old Q outside of their name by the way, which is awesome now, Jaws of the Beast, compared to the previous shambolic display of Hungering Strike. Honestly, Hungering Strike? What even was that? Why would you name something intended to represent the cannibalistic rending of flesh after a mildly discomforting method of peaceful protest? Yeah, I'm not really sure what to say about that one. Speaking of shambolic displays, can we just take a second to talk about the trailer here? Don't get me wrong, overall it was great, very spoopy, very pretty, but what the hell was up with this geezer? Honestly though, this man has the biological consistency of a jam donut. I've got plenty of people on my Facebook who are prolific hunters of confectionery, and they don't get their own trailer. I'm not impressed. But seriously, look at that. What's all this about? He barely touches it and he's full on wounded. Really, this is a moderately severe injury. This is borderline deserving a 4-hour trip to A&E. Why does this man not permanently wear protective gloves? Why are we viewing this trailer through the perspective of the only man in human history to be medically prescribed a Kindle? The backstreets of Zorn are no place for a man of such frailty. But I mean, that's that's just my opinion in it. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so your new Q, pretty much like your old Q, except now you can lock onto enemy targets and leap towards them. Think of it like a targeted Renekton dash. It feels kinda clunky to use, but then again, I'm just a Lee Sin main, so I haven't quite refined the mechanical prowess that Warwick players would command. It's not just your Q that's a massive leap either, and no, we're not talking about the Trump administration's alternative facts. Your ultimate now launches you further forward than Pamela Anderson's career after her sex tape. Yes, your ultimate is now a ranged skill shot which suppresses the first target you bump into. The cool thing about this ability though is that the range of your jump isn't like the Olympic wrestling, it's not fixed. It scales with your move speed. So the faster you're going, the further you will leap. And considering you get a decent amount of move speed when you're chasing someone who's low on health, this can lead to some wild gap closers. Honestly, it feels pretty strong so long as you don't run into the tanks. And on top of that, it is, in my opinion, a nice representation of this whole blood hunting theme that I mentioned earlier and that we also saw in the trailer. Anyway, if you're interested in tips on how to play against Warwick, I've already whipped up a quick cheat sheet for ya. Step 1, never let him melee you. Step 2, never let him ult you. Step 3, never ever be low on health, ever. And of course, get boots early when playing against Warwick, as they'll help you to avoid many of his spells. But I think that just about does it for this video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.